So yeah, and then some of things would just happen, and like life would happen, and then things would just carry over, and then okay, I don't think any of this is going to make it to the final cut of my YouTube channel. I just felt overwhelmed with creativity now, um so I want to stim my brain with something. I'm processing a lot of information right now, and I usually would stop at the side of overstimulation, but I never once tried to push through it by shifting focus toward something else. There are many ways I could calm myself down instead of stopping entirely, which by now redirecting my passions is becoming one of those. Like tell myself enough is enough, right? I have done this play for so many times that it doesn't render anything different. I mean, I'm willing to go through an extensive initiation to discover new ways I can be productive, more constructive, and a helper to my family and society. I mean, I have feelings of rehabilitation emanating from me. Comfort zones are being substituted with focal focus zones. Um, sorry. Inspired flashes accompanied by jolted reactions are what I want as my new normal. It is not out of guilt, as I thought it would be for a long while now. It's justified. It's justified longing. I mean, excuse me. I love writing as much as I do singing, dancing, and drawing. I also look forward to interpret all I can when it comes to new technical skills. I'm starting to think that this burst of brain stimulation was never a headache or a painful result of overexertion. Rather, it is coming to my knowledge that it is like new information synapses formulating and like literally my brain expanding. Neuroplasticity, as I have tried to research and study, and I have tried to research and study. I've watched a few videos from this guy Dr. Huberman on YouTube and read some books on neuroplasticity. So yeah, it's been helpful. But like, I wonder how many unexplored neurons I have in my network, my brain network, that is, because this is a constant state that I go through whenever I try to immerse myself in a new fountain of knowledge. I mean, halfway constructions left decimated and unfulfilled, destitute landmarks uncharted, left pale and flavorless. It's a bit poetic there, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I leave things without fully seeing them through. Right. Should I feel happy though that even when I have left so many unanswered dreams and premonitions, I still can recall their roots? I mean, I have quite a lovely brain. I am quite blessed to be honest, right? I have been seeing myself alone and neglected the hypothetical world around me. I mean, perhaps that was the price to pay for my external isolation. I isolated myself. I isolated myself and my outside world and paid with my happiness. Unfazed change, but this is life that we live. Sometimes unfazed changes remind you of, I don't know, the uncaring, unhuman side of life, the inhuman side of life. Inhuman in the sense of it's not how we humans would see it. We humans would be like, oh, you do that, we'll compensate for you. Life doesn't work on emotions, yeah. But just like I reconciled with it today, my depression was a true blessing. It was a sort of tactical advantage that was bestowed upon me by my ancestors. I would think to know that my life has had an anticipated outcome since my first incarnation, because this current and final reincarnation has a story both beautiful and laborious. I chose beauty over labor because I thought I had options, truly. But it was never a game like scenario in which two separate endings could coexist, right? It was a surety, a finality in chance. Because my life is one of a puzzle because broken as I was, the pieces were cut accordingly. The layout assembled, or rather, the layout resembled a shattered mirror, and yet the image was as clear as a fresh mountain spring. It only required me to have a bird's eye view. A labyrinth may seem uncoordinated and random, and as you make your way inside it, um, the corridors resemble a chasm leading to a certain abyss that forces you to venture deeper and deeper. Every square meter I covered was like a chisel removing rubble from a perfect work of art. Every turn an embellishment with assorted gems curated by my heart's desires. And when I discovered a dead end and had to retrace my steps, it was as if the sculpture was commanding me to detail every previous carving, to look at each section I thought to have finished and confirm within myself. Finally, at the center of the labyrinth stood a portal. Let's be abstract here. And my name incoherent, voices singing in libation to the sky, requesting puffy clouds to touch their surface. I embraced the labyrinth for one last time, breathing in the journey experienced, sad, worrisome, anxious, almost to tears. The labyrinth had become a home to me. The puzzle, which once was daunting, became a colorful, playful escape. Offering a distraction from the labor I had left behind. Even though my view of beauty had shifted to tight shoulders, hyperventilated heartbeats, and petrified nerves, I couldn't remember the person who entered the labyrinth. In all honesty, I didn't even know the person maneuvering through it. How could I? I spent the entirety of my time calculating, deciphering, and processing information on how to get out. But still, I felt remorseful. Like I was betraying a love I had known for the course of my life. Like I was cutting off a limb. Like I was deserting myself. Before I succumbed to these anxious urges to return to the old pathways, I spent the day sitting outside the portal and let whatever was to happen. Like the story of the first Buddha who chose to sit next to a tree and wager with the universe for enlightenment, deserting all formative knowledge and empirical evidence for results. I too heard an instruction to be in the stillness, to let my unconscious decide my actions. A flash of thoughts just sped through my mind, right? One that echoed for hours was a statement I had heard while watching an interview by an African spiritualist who remarked, while discussing Africans and how their image across the world is that of loincloth wearing primitives living in the wild like undomesticated animals, that then was a time when Africans were living in a state of survival, fleeing from the tyranny of European invaders, making nomad-like camps only to keep for the night, hunting and eating periodically and without time to make cooking an expressive task, but a means for sustenance. Not substance, sustenance, yeah. Skinning dead animals of their pelts to fashion clothes, not having the luxury to forage silk and many other fabrics that would allow their creativity to fully come out. I took one major thing from his exact words. And that thing was, when in survival mode, right, a person doesn't function in their normal state. He doesn't have time to let his natural inquisitions garner fruit. His mind is attacked by anxiety over his life, his need to move from one place to another to avoid exposing his position. He can't afford to be a human being in aspects of consciousness. He's devolved to an instinctual animal. Another thing is that When one is in survival mode, one should be very careful not to allow oneself to form attachment to that state and claim it as their character. Like in the form of the Africans still wearing the same loincloths their ancestors did in survival. That what that does is it keeps the spirit of that time alive. It keeps the energy. It is like a soldier coming back from war and still being trapped in the battlefield in his mind. That post-traumatic stress disorder attaches itself to their once peaceful life. What do you do, or rather, what you do in conflict should fall from you the moment the conflict is over. Otherwise, you end up looking to satisfy the craving. Is that rain? Oh. You find yourself creating opportunities for conflict. You seek out environments that you know are hostile because then that will be what resonates with you. Like the labyrinth all over again. What I became to deal with life inside of it should stay in there once I make it out. Look, I know that the advice is usually to take what you gain from a bad experience or rather a challenging moment in life to further propel you towards your goals and future. And yes, the statement sounds encouraging, but it is misconstrued often and used fairly lightly. One should not take the objective gains from a bad circumstance, i.e. the loincloths, but instead, one should take the ingenuity and innovation to understand that at that point in life, loincloths were the most practical. One should take the instinct to adapt. One should take the intelligence and wisdom with which to regulate themselves and come to sensible conclusions. In moments of survival, you abandon comfort and fall into constant situational awareness. You are perpetually asked to think several steps ahead. Take those things along with you, right? Our minds are likened by many to supercomputers with, according to research, the ability to process about 11 million bits of information per second. Albeit our conscious mind can only handle 50 bits per second and can store up to 2.5 million gigabits of data. Taking that into consideration, how does it benefit you to hold on to information that was gained when your brain was not even functioning out of your personal instructions, but instead out of animal instinct? The same with a computer. It is designed not to make a calculation and once an answer is found to just chill. It is not designed that way. That would be a waste of its processing capacity. It is made to challenge itself, to find problems and ask itself if it meets the requirements. And if it doesn't, then it begs the human for innovation, to create faster chips, to create bigger storage devices, to expand, to evolve. Who I was in the labyrinth was a blessing, an appreciated companion to shoulder my burdens and protect the innocence I hold dear, but it should not take over who I am. Like the neurons that clear a path to new ways of thinking and seeing the world, this labyrinth can be used as a guiding light to a new you when you ask you for it. We are meant to grow. Some do it with a smile on their faces and an image of privilege. Some do it through extensive struggle with no guaranteed endpoint. But still, the endeavor is required and ordained if you are to discover a part of yourself you can only imagine. Mine was hell. Still is. As I write this with the acceptance of my depression, I still face it every day. It is an advantage only through my chosen perspective of it. It doesn't change the fact that it weighs heavy on me. Shit, I still go through life. I still go through depression. It doesn't mean there aren't days I want to just break down and let the world do with me what it will. Doesn't mean I'm immune to feeling defeated. But I choose different. I leave the labyrinth. Even as the walls fall to the ground, even as the walls fall, the ground remains the same. What changes is what is in front of my eyes. Hope you get that. Thank you. Love you. Bye.